Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, men and women all across the fruited plains, welcome here to the Psychology of the Sale. It's May 22nd, 2023. I'm Gary Keista. I'm your host this evening. Some people refer to me as the doctor of insurance. Maybe I'm the only one that does that, but I still love that title. It puts me with that confidence that I need when I go into people's home to make me feel like I'm an expert in something. But at least I tell you what, I come across with that attitude, that mentality. So welcome this evening to the Psychology of the Sale. This is about our sixth time we've met. The first few times have already been recorded. You can check it out in the back office. The first 5 recordings, if you've missed those, you want to get yourself up to date to where we are and up to speed, go to mylifetraining.biz, mylifetraining.biz. And you can check out the previous 5 recordings and training sessions on this, because you might be jumping in the middle of something and thinking about, what about the first 2 or 3 steps? Well, those will explain to you what we're doing, how we're working, and where we are at this point. I believe there's a psychology to the sale. I believe there's more than just rotely going through a presentation. I believe there's so many things involved in the process. If you want to become an expert in the field, if you want to become a pro in the field, if you want to become a top closer in the field, there's more things that you do than just going through a presentation and repeating words. You're looking at body language, you're looking at demeanor, you're looking at the eye contact or the lack thereof. You're watching all kind of things going on with that. You're watching what's not being said. You're watching a lot of the posture of the client, from the hands to the feet, to the head, to the mouth, to the eyes, to there's many things going on. So I'm going to help you go a little bit deeper and understand the why you're saying what you're saying, what to say, but also how to say it, by using certain voice inflections, by using certain pauses at certain times of your presentation, and not being afraid to pause and let there be silence, and allow Miss Betty to maybe feel a little uncomfortable, if you will. I call it sometimes putting the burr under the saddle. If you've ever ridden a horse and know much about that, or saddling a horse, once a burr gets under there, they get a little uncomfortable. That's okay to have that pausing, that silence. So I'll teach you those things, and to help you become a better closer, a top closer, and someone that is making more money than you probably ever made before in your life, because you become a pro in this business. You become a doctor of insurance, if you will. I don't say that to feel my ego. I say that because I think my job, my profession, is just as important as a doctor, as a lawyer, as a banker, as an accountant, because I've not always felt that way. When I started out in sales years and years ago, and for many years, I thought I was bothering people, pressuring people, aggravating people, getting in people's way. I'm just an old insurance guy, just peddling insurance down the street, handing out rates and brochures. I wanted to change that mentality. I was not a great closer. I was timid. I was shy. I got a lot of think about it and a lot of follow-up calls that never turned out to be anything. If you're in that same boat right now, don't be afraid. Don't run from this. As often Rob Boyd says, and Rob Appel says, run to the storm, run into it, figure out what's causing those things. Let's change those things. Let's get better at what we're doing. Let's bless lives, impact your community, and let's make a difference in your bank account. I believe you can. I actually know you can. It's needed, it's wanted, and I think we have some of the best products in the industry out there, and some of the best training in the industry. So with that in mind, buckle up, get your pen or pencil or your note-taking device. I have a belief that one dull pencil is better than 2 sharp minds. Become an avid note taker. Take some notes. Go back and reread, re-look at it, practice it, rehearse it. Do what a pro would do. How many years and how much money does a doctor spend in his profession before he or she ever does one thing in the medical field? What, 10, 12, 16 years? 100, 200, 500, $1 million? I don't know. It's way on up there. So you and I have to put in a little bit of blood, sweat, and tears to become a pro, to become that doctor of insurance. It is possible. I'm going to help you through the process. If you not only listen, practice, but apply the principles, you can get better at what you do. And those that you're missing, I call it learning how to close the close ones. See, I believe that 20% of this, anybody can close. I really do. I could type up a note, put it in my dog's mouth, walk it up to the door, ring the doorbell, and the thing says, for some life insurance for $50 a month for 10,000, sign here and give me your information and you're all covered. I'm being a little facetious, but I believe that anybody can just roll into 20%. I believe there's about 20% that very few can control and can close. About 20% of them. Mine's a little higher than that, but I've been doing it for a long time. I think I can get those close ones at a little bit higher level, but about 20%, don't beat your head up. They're going to be tough to close. It's the 60% in the middle that most salespeople miss. That's low-hanging fruit that is right there for the taking. And it's going to be delicious to the taste. And we let it get away from us. It just escapes from us. And it's not because you're a bad person, not because you're not an honest person, not because you don't have a great product. It's because there's some few techniques that need to be fine-tuned, that need to be solidified, that need to be honed in what you're doing. And that 60%, you're going to start grabbing from a 20% closer to a 30, from a 30 to a 40, 40 to a 50, and just right on up. I know. I've seen it. I did it personally, and I've taught to hundreds of other agents the same process. Be patient with yourself, but push fear aside. Push fear aside and be willing to try some things that you're a little uncomfortable with. Not that you're going to be rude or crude or disgusting or disrespectful. None of that. I'm talking about being a pro at what you're doing. Precision in the words you use, and the body language you have, and the enunciation, pronunciation, voice inflections, the pausing, and then the right verbiage. As you do, you're going to watch your closing percentage start to increase, and it's going to be a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. It's going to be exciting. All right. Before we jump into tonight's lesson, about 3 weeks ago, we had a great class, and we've been talking about the credibility statement. There's 3 stages I've gone through so far. One is learning your market. Who is your market? Go back and listen to that. It's really, really intriguing. As you learn your market, who they are, you want to know how they walk, how they talk, when they get up in the morning, what they think about, when they go to bed at night, what they think about, what they drive, where they live, what motivates them. That's your market. Understand your market and who they are. Gosh, it can make a huge difference. And you'll hear my story as I talked about long-term care insurance almost 30 years ago when I was getting into it, wet behind the ears, couldn't close a door, much less close a sale, trying to figure out how the World War II veterans were thinking and learning their mindset of what motivated them. Oh, it was an amazing experience. And I wanted to walk a mile in Mr. Billy's shoes. I truly did. I got so hungry with that I started checking out books on World War II, looking at documentaries on World War II, that's the same time that Saving Private Ryan came out. I was one of the first people in the theater that day. And that opening scene, if you've seen, it's just incredible. It gives you goosebumps and chills up and down your body. I wanted to feel that, walk that, live that, breathe that, taste that with the World War II veterans. I'm a 30-year-old kid. I'm trying to tell a 60, 65, 70-year-old man that he needs to protect his assets from a potential long-term care stay and that he could walk away leaving his spouse with nothing. I'm going to do that with confidence. And so I learned my market. I studied my market. I learned about Christopher Reeves falling off the horse and being paralyzed and losing his assets, and Robin Williams, his good buddy, coming in and helping him with the spinal cord injury and helping him with funding and stuff like that. I learned this stuff so I could tell the stories. And as they say, benefits tell, but stories sell. I want you to become a great storyteller. because third-party stories and personal stories shows Miss Betty and Mr. Billy that you've walked a mile in their shoes. How many stories, how many examples do you have? And so when I move from my market and understanding it, then I move into a strong connectivity stage. Now, you know it better as rapport building. You know it better as warm up. And that's what I knew it for years until I learned that everyone communicates, but very few connect. And that hit me like a ton of bricks. It hit me in such a way that it made a huge difference in the way I look at that warm-up period, that period of time you call rapport building. I looked at it differently then. I'm not just going through some rote questions and rote answers and just going through a process, which I thought that's what it was. That you're just trying to maybe look for one commonality, talk about the kids on the wall and the big fish that he caught and the flag in the front yard and the beautiful garden out there, and you just having a conversation. I learned that was not it. That my sale was taking place in my connectivity stage. They taught me, the greats, that you're a detective, that you're looking for answers to where their hot buttons are. And it comes in the connectivity stage. I says, what? I thought we were just saying that to just kind of break the ice and get people to feel a little more comfortable with us. No. To close at a high level, you're gathering your ammunition here. You're gathering facts. You're that detective that's digging deep to find out what motivates Miss Betty and Mr. Billy. Why are you here? Learn about the family, the occupation, the recreation, the money, the life. Dig deep and find out that the most of your sale that you're going to be able to uncover is right here. I thought, oh my gosh, why didn't somebody tell me this years ago? I'm just kind of happily go lucky like Pinocchio into the world and thinking I'm just having a conversation. No. You're collecting evidence that you're going to use in your presentation to figure out what buttons to push that's going to cause Miss Betty to go, light bulb come on. That's exactly why you're here. And that's exactly what I need. How did you know that? I was listening. And I was listening very well in my connectivity stage. So go back and listen to that. It's some prior videos. I go in depth on your market and your connectivity. And the third stage I've been going through for the last couple of weeks is called the credibility statement. I've spent so much time now, a couple of months, and we haven't even got off of first base yet. And you may be asking yourself, hey, I just want to get through this class and get down to the end. And I just want to know how to close a sale at the end. I want you to have a mental shift. The closing of the sale happens in the beginning. It's not close and beat people over the head and close and beat people over the head and close and beat people over the head. Not. Actually, when I get down to end the presentation, I suck at getting people to change their mind. You know, let me tell you why? Because I've done my closing all the way through. If they haven't bought me by then, I'm out. I'm done. Like I have nothing. I'm weak. But the key is getting Miss Betty and Mr. Bill to buy me way before then. And I'm going to purposefully knock out all the objections way before I get down to my close. That's why I'm no good at the close with overcoming objections. I've overcome all them. Now maybe I might miss one. But most of the time, they're like landmines. And I'm trying to figure out a way to uncover them. Get them to get out of my way. Close that door. Shut that door. There is no close. The best close is no close at all. You just waltz right in to the numbers, right into the application, and it's very low key, it's very assumptive, and there really isn't a close. There really isn't. because you've done all your closing ahead of time. That was a big revelation for me. I'm thinking years ago, you just hurry up and get through your presentation, get down the end, and just browbeat people for 30 minutes until someone says, give. I'm done. I'll take it. Then they end up canceling because you push them into it. No. We'll teach you how to close way ahead of time, way ahead of time. And by the time you get down the end, there isn't a close. It's done. It's over. That's what we're getting to. So your personal credibility statement, which goes right on the heels of your connectivity stage. I'm going to tell you, I've been selling for a long time. Very few people do a personal credibility statement. But when I ask people aren't really buying your product. What are they buying? Guess what everybody says? They're buying you. Okay. What did you do or say about yourself that gave them any reason to buy you? What? What'd you do? You were nice, you smiled, you kind of had some conversation in the warm-up in the rapport building. That's good. But you want to put some icing on the cake. You want to bury the competition. You want to shut the think about it objection door. You want to come across as the expert. You want to come across as confident. Figure out a way to put in a credibility statement. You say, but yeah, I can sell file expense without doing that. You're right. You can. But can you keep it on the books at a high level? Why? Because Miss Betty, when you walk out that door, she has forgotten about what you said. But remember, people never forget how you make them feel, even though they may forget what you said. How did you make her feel? See, the personal credibility statement in my eyes, it sets me apart from every Tom, Dick, and Harry peddling insurance, whatever else down the street. Because I'm going to make her feel in such a way that she's never felt before when it comes to having an insurance person. That when she sees another car in the mail, throw it away. See a TV commercial, don't pick up and call it. Someone knocks on the door, get out of here, I'm done. I already got my man or woman. That's what I'm looking to do. I'm not just trying to close a final expense sale. That's pretty easy. If you brush your teeth and comb your hair and look halfway decent and go with a smile, a lot of people are just going to say, okay, yeah, thank you, and sign me up. No, not me. I want to make an impression. So she'll buy, keep it, and refer me to her family and friends. And that's what I'm looking to do. So that's much, much more than just a regular presentation. So what is your credibility statement? Have you worked on it? Anybody give me a thumbs up that you're working on it? Give me a couple hands that are shouting hooray in the air. Anything of anybody who's working on their personal credibility statement. Fab, good. We got some people. I see some floating thumbs up. How do you do that, Bonita? I like that. Wish I knew how to do that. I like it. What?
You hit more and then it's there.
Oh, sweet. Hit more and it's there. Guys and gals, do a floating thumbs up. Roger, thanks for your honesty, man. Thanks for your honesty. It's one of those things that's easily put off because you can make a final expense sale and a mortgage protection sale and an IUL sale without doing a credibility statement. You can. I don't think your closing percentage is as high, and I don't think you keep on the books quite as well. I'll tell you why. How many clients have you gone to and Miss Betty has already bought from somebody else after you sold her a policy, but a year later, you somehow connected her and she bought from somebody else? Say to yourself, why? I'm your guy. You didn't make an impression. You were just another person peddling life insurance down the street. So the next person came in, just another person peddling life insurance down the street, and Miss B just realized, you know what? I need to add 5 more thousand. So she did. And you talk to Miss B and you find out that agent also sold her kids and grandkids. You think to yourself, my gosh, I was in here first. Why not me? Because you didn't make that good enough impression that she remembered you. She didn't. Credibility statement helps you make that impression where people remember how you made them feel. Now go back and listen to my prior videos. So I'm not going to do it again. I've already done it about 3 times. Is I do my credibility statement right at the end of my connectivity stage. That, ladies and gentlemen, is where you're going to get eye to eye, belly to belly, toe to toe, and look your clients in the eye. And that's where you're going to make a difference. One of the reasons why I started doing this was because these World War II veterans were intimidating to me. I'll be honest with you, they were. I'm a 30-year-old kid, still wet behind the ears. And I'm saying to myself, dude, that dude puts on his pants different than I do. But I heard from some of the Tom Hopkins, the Zig Ziglars, the Brian Tracy's, and some of the others talking about this, Anthony Robbins. I said, okay, there's something to this thing. I'm just going to make myself sit down and start hashing this thing out and writing it out. And I got a credibility statement for my mortgage protection presentation, for my IUL sales, and for my final expense sales. I had it for my long-term care sales. And it's one where you're going to look people in the eyes, you're going to tell them why you're here, why you're doing what you're doing, and why they need to do business with you and nobody else. And look at that and do it with confidence. I'm going to tell you, the first few times I was doing it, I was shaking in my boots. So I'm looking at this guy and I'm telling him, he no longer has to send in any more cards, calling any more TV commercials, or have anybody else knock on his door. Let me tell you why, Mr. Billy, I'm your guy. I'm an expert in the business. Some people refer to me as a doctor of insurance. At first, I'm trembling in my boots and I'm saying that, but then I began to believe it. And once you believe it, it's Katie bar the door. So, Mr. Billy, this is no longer a job for me. It's a mission. It's a crusade. I don't know anything about being in the military for 30 years, which is what you did, and I commend you, and I have most respect for you. But when it comes to insurance, not bragging, I'm an expert. I wanted to come across as, you're great at what you do, but don't be telling me my business, because I'm great at what I do. And I want to do it in such a way that I wouldn't tick them off. But at the same time, I want to do it in such a way that they knew. Don't be coming to me saying that, well, I know that business, or I know what this cost is, or I know what the market. No. I'm the guy. So you may be saying to yourself, well, gosh, I'm brand new in this thing. How am I going to tell people that? You're going to do it in a way that's going to be comfortable and confident for you. You're going to figure that out. You're going to come up with your own personal story. And when I started telling stories about my aunt with Alzheimer's, and we didn't have any vacations as family because I take care of Aunt Alma with her keys, in the refrigerator, her personal refrigerator, turning on the stove and leaving it, taking walks and couldn't find a way back home. I wanted Mr. Billy and Miss Betty to know I understood what I'm doing. And you know what? You could have your wife take care of you, Mr. Billy, but she loses her life. Sometimes caregivers wear it before the people they're giving care to. Is that what you want to this lovely lady who you've been married to for 40 years? No, you don't. Because caregivers wear it before the people they're giving care to. Now, your other option is without her, then you can go straight to a nursing home, which is $80,000 a year. You got $500,000 in assets. That's going to run you about 6 years worth. Then it leaves your wife destitute. Is that your answer? Is that what you want to do? No. But that's why I'm here. Those kind of things, once you start saying it with them being emphatic and letting them know you know what you're talking about and don't be intimidated, then things start to happen. At first, you're shaking your boots, but you'll get better with it. That's your first several stages. That's where the sale is made, is right there. Because they're going to get a feeling inside their heart. Wow, I've never had anybody speak to me with that much confidence and courage before. Now what happens to the body language? They're not going to tell you, oh, you're amazing and you're great and I believe in you and I'm going to do it. No, but the body language will give you the answer. I remember the pipe smoking glasses on down the nose people in North Raleigh with all the money that worked at IBM and Glaxo and all these other high-end places. And I'm just struggling, trying to feed a family in a small little 1,200 square foot place. I saw what happened. Well, I listened to the pros before me. They said their arms will start going from here to here. And the laying back will start going from there to there. And the glasses will move from here to here. And the eyebrows will go from furred down to furred up. And the mouth will go from down to up and open. And their arms, hands will start opening up, and their legs will do the same thing. And I started noticing this stuff. I says, you know what? This is absolutely incredible. I have never seen anything like this before in my life. It's taking me from a rookie, from an amateur to a pro. I thought you just presented stuff, and if people wanted, they bought it, they bought it. They didn't, they didn't. No, there's a psychology to understanding sales and to becoming a pro, just like what a doctor goes through, becoming a doctor or an attorney or a banker, an accountant, whatever else, a mechanic, to become a pro mechanic. They go through certain steps and processes, they pay a price. That's what we do here, ladies and gentlemen, as we become great at what we do. That's where you are. Okay, now with that in mind, we talked about credibility a few weeks ago. I want you to use your chat button here, the chat button. And I want you to put your answers in here. I want to see how much you remembered for those of you that were there. And what I've talked about before is a little quiz on the credibility statement. There's a little quiz. Get your fingers ready to type and go to the chat line. Question 1. What type of credibility at this point of the presentation are we trying to establish? Is a company credibility, a product credibility, or a personal credibility? What type of credibility are we trying to establish? Excellent, Melvin. Excellent, everybody. Get out of here. I'm in the wrong thing here. Excellent, Joe, Beta, and Lorraine. We're looking for a personal credibility statement. Product will come later. Company will come later. Right now, I'm trying to sell you on me. Because if you don't buy me, you're going to buy nothing else. That's where you get to think about it. Very good. Number 2, what's our body language at this phase of the presentation? We're doing the credibility statement. Laid back, laughing and non-serious, slouched in a chair or on a couch like a child or a friend? Or are we sitting erect with strong commanding presence? What are we doing at the credibility phase? Excellent, Benita. You're absolutely right. Whereas during the warm-up or the connectivity stage, we're more laid back. We're more having fun. We're laughing. We're joking. We're not that serious. Even though I am, because I'm a detective, I'm gathering all this information, but still, you're more jovial. With this, you're sitting erect, strong, commanding presence. Yes, on telesales as well, confident with a personal tone. Excellent. That's what you are. This is what I call the eye to eye, belly to belly, and toe to toe. This is where the difference is made. Number 3, what occupational presence would be good to come across in this section? In other words, you will come across as the blank of insurance. What type of occupational presence will be to come across at this stage of the game? Counselor is good. I like it. Professional is good. Expert, good. All right. And a specific occupational presence could be their banker presence, attorney. Mine is the doctor of insurance. I want to come across as their doctor. What does a doctor do? Doctor looks for problems when you come in and see him or her. They look for ways to see what's going on, analyzing the situation, and then they make recommendations based upon their diagnoses. Yes, very good, Lorraine. They diagnosed a problem. That's what we do as the doctor. We're doctors of insurance. We're doing the same thing. And before you can write a prescription or find a remedy, find some way to solve the problem, you got to diagnose it. Okay, so I come across as a doctor. Number 4, what type of question is a good one to ask during your credibility statement, not really expecting an answer? What type of questions do we call those? Like I go, Miss Betty, you know the best part about my job? I'm not looking for an answer. The best part about my job is blank. What type of question do you call that? Okay, it is an open-ended, but you're not expecting an answer. What do you call that? Question, not expecting the answer. What do we call it? I bet the problem is people don't know how to spell it. You didn't spell it right. You got the right answer, Joe. Yes, sir. There you go, Benita. It's a rhetorical question. That is exactly right. See, what that does is an attention grabber. Sometimes folks will start to fall asleep on you in your presentation. But if you ask a question, all of a sudden, their ears perk up. Now, Miss Betty, do you know the best part about my job? The best part about my job is when your daughter Mary is going to call me one day. See that? Not expecting an answer. All right. Number 5, painting a picture of Miss Betty's daughter calling me in the future at claim time is what type of closing techniques? Ooh, I'm saying to Miss Betty, the best part of my job, Miss Betty, is when your daughter Mary is going to call me down the road at claim time and say, I understand my mom had a policy with you, Gary. We need to use it. Imagery is good. Give me a specific closing technique we're looking. A specific closing technique. Assumptive, excellent, Joe. We are assuming the sale. Imagery is good as well. Is painting pictures. So the other type of close is called the ownership close. I'm projecting you owning my product before you're even saying that you want to own it. I'm already projecting this in your hands, in your possession. Think about how powerful that is. Then I go, do you know the worst part about my job, Miss Betty? Worst part is when I see your daughter Mary having to go up and down the street, begging, borrowing, and stealing, trying to collect money to bury her parents. It's pretty awful, isn't it? Yeah. See that imagery, that assumption, painting that picture ahead of time? I said earlier in my training, picture is worth more than 1,000 words in this business. Painting that vision, that picture of down the road, because you have an intangible product. It's so intangible, it's not even funny. You've got to find a way for them to sniff it, hear it, see it, feel it, without them being able to do so. How do you do that? You tell stories. You paint pictures. I mean, look in the good book. The master teacher did it all the time. All the parables, all the stories, him using imagery to teach a concept, a precept, a lesson. That's what we're doing. Teach something that people already know and can relate to and feel. You think Miss Betty's ever had to go around beg, borrowing, and stealing, maybe trying to bury a brother, a parent, a friend, a niece, a nephew? You better believe it. We're going to walk down that road. We're going to smell that, taste that, touch that, feel that, sense that. And the more senses you get involved, the more they're going to own it. That's called the ownership close and the assumptive close. Very good, guys. All right, number 6. Finding commonality with Miss Betty not only shows you have walked a mile in her shoes, but also builds strong blank. Finding commonality with Miss Betty not only shows you have walked a mile in her shoes, but also builds strong blank. Joe says rapport. Very good. What else? What else? Credibility. Excellent. Does. So it builds that connectivity and it builds credibility when you find commonality with Miss Betty. See, when she walks into the doctor's office, see, his credibility or her credibility is already on the wall. I went to Harvard and I got this degree, and I went many years there. I've paid hundreds of thousands of dollars. The doctor doesn't need to boast himself or to make himself look bigger, better. They don't need to do any of that stuff. They have instant credibility by putting the name doctor in front of it. We don't have that. We're walking in as behind the last experience Miss Betty just had, which was awful. Some blue suede shoes guy that she couldn't get rid of, that was in the wham bam thank you down business, that was just there peddling rates and brochures and care less about her or her family. We got to follow that. And we're coming in as the doctor of insurance. So we got to set ourselves apart, make ourselves different, make ourselves unique. As we do, she's going to trust us and buy. Number 7, telling a personal story about the lack of insurance needed to take care of someone demonstrates knowledge, empathy, or wisdom. Telling a personal story about the lack of insurance needed to take care of someone demonstrates knowledge, empathy, or wisdom. Joe is quick draw McGraw, man. He's faster than Clint Eastwood. You're absolutely right. It shows some empathy. And you want to show that, ladies and gentlemen, no matter what you do, you want to show some empathy in your presentation. It's so important to show that sensitive side, that softer side. That's sometimes why females do so well in our business. They've got a gift with that. It's innate. We guys sometimes have to work a little bit harder with that empathy, sensitive side, that caring side. It's a little bit tougher for us because it doesn't come natural. But the more we develop that, the more we'll have a better chance of Miss Betty going, this guy sure relates to me. He sure understands me. He feels what I feel. I like this person. Versus quick talking, quick walking, quick movements. Everything is fast. Everything is quick. Got to the bottom line real fast. Which one of these you want? How soon do you want it? How are you going to pay for this? That's guides for you. You want to fix things quickly. And it's not going to work for us. We need to slow it down sometimes and walk a mile in Miss Betty's shoes. We really, really do. Okay. All righty. And hey, Lester put his mission statement on here. Fabulous. So you guys and gals maybe can take a screenshot of that if you're looking for some ideas. And you're welcome, Lester, to come on and share this with us, unless you want me to share it, but you're welcome to come on and put your own spin and tone and voice in it. If not, we will share it. We'll take a picture. Mr. and Mrs. Jones, for so many years, has been my passion to make certain your loved ones do not become inundated with financial stress on the absolute worst day of their life when you leave them to go home. If individuals I interact with in my professional career do not see the need for the service I provide, then I have failed my mission. It's that black and white, Mr. and Mrs. Jones. I love people just like you love your family and protecting your assets and their legacy is an honor. And I take immense pride in doing that very thing day in and day out. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. There's some great impact words in there. And that's what you want to sprinkle. And if you say this right here, eye to eye with conviction, with the right tone of voice, I'm going to tell you what, that's going to move people. That moves people. And personally, you follow that up with a personal story with that statement right there, like shouldn't you walk a mile in her shoes, like I did with my father who passed away when he was 49 with no life insurance. You follow that up with something like that, that moves people, folks. That moves them. Great job, Lester. Thank you for sharing that today. Really, really, really strong, really strong. And you're welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to share your own personal statements, credibility statements you've come up with so far. And you're welcome to text them to me if you want me to help you fine tune them. You're welcome to post them on here. We can fine tune, work them as a team. But I love it. So take a picture of Lester's and work off that as well. I think is really awesome. All right, number 8, to establish genuine and sincere credibility, you're going to use some key impact words in your credibility statement. Somebody give me a few impact words that you might choose to use in your personal credibility statement. Give me one or two. What would you use? Give me an impact word or phrase. Sometimes it's not what you say, either it's how you say it. Anybody got an impact word or phrase that they use in their credibility statement? Ooh, I love it. I don't know where you got that from, Lorraine, but I love it. Dedicated my life to this market. When you use the word dedicated, it means something. Words are energy, they're power, they move people. And that's why sometimes when people use the wrong words, they can turn people off, like foul language. So using positive key impact words can make a difference. I love to serve others. That word love, key impact word and phrase. So I love that. So that's great. When I use words like dedicated, my life, I think it's powerful. When I say things like I'm on a mission, to me in the South, that just reminds me of Billy Graham. I don't know what it is, but it just does. And I know this clientele grew up watching him. And I'm in North Carolina. I know my clientele. And maybe that doesn't work in Florida. And maybe that doesn't work up in Virginia. Okay, fine. But everybody knows Billy Graham. I can promise you that in this market. But when I say things like this is a mission or crusade, that's Billy Graham stuff. It just is. And that's my market. We're in the Bible Belt. These are Bible Belt thinking people for the most part. It may not always be that way, but I understand my market and I know the words to use for them. As a mother, understand your fears. Now that's so powerful. It's very good, Lorraine. When you're talking mother to mother and woman to woman, and you say something like that, and you look them in the eyes and you got the right tone for that, I mean, that's going to make a difference. That moves people. Ladies and gentlemen, get your own impact words. Get things that you're comfortable with saying. What feels right for you. Words are energy. They make a difference. They make people move, or they shut people down, depending upon the words that we do use. Okay. It's almost like I remember training a lot of people in sales for years, and an agent would get down to end the presentation and they would show the numbers and they would go, so what do you think about that? I said, did you hear what you just said? You just planted the words, think about it in their mind. You didn't mean to. You showed the 3 numbers. Of those 3, which one do you think about would work best for you? What? No. Which one do you think? No. So what, based on what I just shared with you now, Miss Betty, of those 3, which one feels right for you? Feels right for you. Which one would work best for you? Get away from, what do you think about that? What do you think about those? What do you think about these 3 figures? Get that out of your vocabulary. So sometimes words can be used to turn as a negative for you. Figure out impact words and phrases. All righty, number 9, looking your prospect in the eyes and saying, you'll never have to mail back in another card, call another insurance TV commercial, or allow another blue suede shoes salesperson to come in your home again, demonstrates what type of character trait? What type of character trait does that demonstrate? You say to Mr. Billy, Mr. Billy, listen, this is the last card you'll ever have to mail back in. The TV commercial with Alex Trebek, which I used to use for years, and I miss having him on the TV with Colonial Penn because everybody knew Alex Trebek. You won't ever have to call Alex Trebek again. You'll never have another blue suede shoes person back in your home again. What type of character trait is that demonstrating to your client? It is with some integrity, but there's one other word I'm looking for. Does demonstrate integrity, but there's a stronger one I'm looking for. If someone said that to you and you were buying something, you're coming in to buy some furniture. And I say, listen, I can save you folks a lot of headache, heartache, and time. I know there's a lot of furniture stores down this street and this road right here. But I'm going to say this to you today while you're standing here. This is the last furniture store you're going to ever have to shop at. The reason? Because I know my prices, I know the value, I know how we stand behind it, and whatever things you want to give to them. What is that demonstrating to that client? If you were to hear that, go in to buy a car. Listen, there's a lot of cars placed on the street here, but let me stop you right here. Let me save you a lot of headache, heartache, and time. You don't have to go to another place, listen to another darn salesman. You don't have to have it shopping for more ads, more prices, more places. I'm going to tell you why. What does that demonstrate? Confidence. Confidence. And you want to have just enough confidence in what you're doing without being arrogant. But you want to have some confidence. I want to shut it down. In the back of their mind, they're thinking, I'm going to shop, kick tires, think about it, pray on this thing, talk to different people about this stuff. I'm going to shut it down. I'm going to shut it down. I'm not trying to be rude, rude, disgusting, but I believe that's so much about what I'm doing that you're wasting your time. Well, you think about it. All the plans they buy through the mail or a 2-year waiting period in term insurance. Am I telling facts? Yes. So that's a fact. Okay, the stuff through the mail has got a 2-year waiting period and it's going to be higher priced. The TV commercials, they're going to be higher priced. Lincoln Heritage, Senior Life, Colonial Penn, you buying it by the units. I know what they're going to get. So it's awful. I'm saving them headache, heartache, and misery. And the blue suede shoe guy that comes through the door, who's in the wham bam thinky man business, throwing rates and brochures around, could care less about Mr. Billy or Miss Betty. I know I'm going to give better service and value to them. I know it. So I say that with confidence. Because I feel it and I know it. Can you say it? Can you say that to them and look them and really believe it? This is where that passion comes in and they forget way what you said. They don't forget how you made them feel. And that's a feeling right there, that confidence factor. Okay. Assurance is good as well, but thanks for saying that. Number 10, by demonstrating that trait and saying those phrases, you will blank the competition. By demonstrating that trait, that confident trait, and saying those phrases, you will blank the competition. I was just going to use a softer word, but you guys are using things like crush it and obliterate. I was just going to say knock out, but okay. You guys are obliterating. And that was one of my goals too in doing this thing. I kept getting people wanting to go, can we just shop around a little bit and look and see what else is out there? And that's hard to come back on when you get down there and you show them the numbers and everything. You're sitting there. Can we just take a few days and look around? I mean, that's a prudent person asking a prudent question. So I said to myself, I want to knock that out. How can I do it? And do it with conviction and with confidence. I'm the last insurance person you'll ever have to have in your home. Why say that? Hallelujah, Miss Betty. Aren't you glad? And you kind of joke around with a little bit. I'm the last one you'll ever have to see. Hallelujah. Thank goodness, right? You see how fun you can make it too? But it's true. What person wants to give up part of their morning, afternoon, or evening sitting around listening to some insurance person go off on their stuff and you can't get rid of them? So we solved that problem. I'm the last one you'll ever need. Let me tell you why, Miss Betty. Because I'm going to be one of the only ones that's going to be bringing your daughter a check while everybody else is bringing her bills. I'm going to be here for her at claim time. I'm going to sit right down here. We're going to fill out this claim form. I'm going to call the insurance company. I'll get the claim process started. I'm going to help her get the death certificate in. I'll be bringing her a check while everybody else will bring her bills. How does that sound, Miss Betty? Does that make you feel good? Yeah. That's why I'm the last insurance person you'll ever see. I'm going to do it right. Those type of words and verbiage, you got to believe it first. If you don't believe that, if you're going to do that, then don't say it. You're going to bring value to the table. And someone said value earlier. And once you bring value to the table, I love it, Joe, you rise above. I like that, Lorraine. Tell us as you tell them you shopped around with them. I love that. Very good. Very, very good. All righty. Oh gosh, you guys are amazing with some of the stuff you're doing and some of the stuff you're saying. You're teaching me some great stuff. All righty. We got a few more minutes and we'll close it out tonight. For those of you that are brand new here, I call mine the 10 steps to become a master finance biz closer. We at RIL, Retirement Income Life, we use a 5-step process. We keep it simple, and it's very, very amazing. All I've done with my 10-step process, which I've been doing for years, is I just break it down a little bit bite-sized pieces. We're teaching the same stuff. I'm just breaking it down a little bit more to make it maybe hopefully a little bit even easier for you to fill out what you're doing and see the process. So we talked about connectivity. We talked about personal credibility. The next stage in that process is need development. I'm going to hit a couple of highlights here, and we're going to come back and dive deeper. Not next Monday because that is Memorial Day, but in 2 weekends away. So that's going to give you 2 weeks to work on your personal credibility statement. I want you to come back with some meat on your credibility statement. I want you to come back with putting some time into it. Unless you carve out some time, turn off the boob tube, the TV at night, turn off the sports, which I love sports. I know we're right in the middle of playoffs right now for hockey and basketball. Turn it off. It's not going to make you any money. And you get down to the nitty gritty and you write out that credibility statement and come back and share some things like Lester did tonight and give me some thoughts on what you put together. Let's grow together, learn together, improve together. But you got to take action. You can't just dream it or hope it. You got to actually put it on paper. And see, that's going to lead us into the need development stage. This is important. I'm going to go over the mindset, then we'll close it out tonight and hit more deeper. We're going to hit deeper. Leave the word more out. We'll hit deeper in 2 weeks from now. This area of the presentation is where the mindset of the doctor-patient relationship really comes into play. It's the doctor's job to find out where the pain points are before he or she can make a recommendation. He or she cannot find a problem. If they cannot find a problem, then he or she cannot recommend a solution. If you, as a sales agent, cannot find a problem, concern, or a need, a pain point, then it's very unlikely your solutions will resonate with your prospect. You'll just be wasting time and barking up the wrong tree. There are 2 axioms I like to use here. One is called peeling the onion. The other is called putting a burr under the saddle. The prospect must come to feel a little uncomfortable in their current situation. The thought of having no insurance and their family having to go around and doing the BBS, Beg, Borrow, Steal program should really bother them and make them feel uncomfortable. It's akin to peeling an onion and getting to the core. The more you peel, the more you cry and get uncomfortable. The same is true when there's a burr under the saddle. The horse gets erratic and becomes very uncomfortable as a burr is pressing against his or her skin. You see the vision, the painting the picture here I am with you. This is important. This is the process you're going through, the psychology of the sale, peeling back layers of the onion when you get into the need section. You're getting that little uncomfortableness right here. This is good. This is where the doctor's going. Does it hurt here? How about here? How about what I do here? How does this make you feel? That's the diagnosis process. So there's got to be a little bit of that going on. In addition, it's very important that we don't put words in Miss Betty's mind or mouth. We need to ask the tough questions just as the doctor would and allow her to speak and tell us her pain points. We want her to own this and allow herself to hear those words coming out of her mouth. In other words, we want to help her uncover her why by asking questions. We sit back and listen just as a doctor would their patient. We call this, and if you haven't studied it, if you haven't looked into it, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I want to highly recommend, if you're going to be a pro, a doctor of insurance, that you look into the Socratic method of selling. Google it, read it, study it, understand it. It changed my life. It changed my world. Instead of me telling people what they needed, instead of me telling people what their pain points were, I learned to ask questions. Gosh, it became so much simpler. Because then I'm not telling them what I want them to hear. They're telling me what their problem is so I can solve it. So this is in essence asking questions, listening for the answers, thus stimulating critical thinking and drawing out Miss Betty's ideas, needs, and desires. My job is to keep the ball up in the air by questioning, dig deeply, peel the onion, build my case, doctor detective mindset, allow Miss Betty to sell herself, gain more by asking than you do by telling. That goes in any relationship. I've learned this the hard way as a father, as a husband, as a friend, as a person. Instead of me telling people, you need this, or you should do this. Because that makes you feel awful when people say that to you. But when you start asking questions, how does that make you feel? How about this? Why did you decide to do that? Then it becomes so much better than you telling people. Before I provide any type of solutions, I do these things. Remember, if I cannot help Miss Betty uncover a need that she personally verbalizes, then any solution offer will more than likely fall on deaf ears. At this point, sometimes we as salespeople start forcing our personal beliefs, needs, and desires on others. We set ourselves up for failure. We will be better served by politely excusing ourselves and go serve our next prospect. I want to give you a taste of what we're doing in 2 weeks from now. We're going to get deep into peeling that onion, putting the burn in the saddle, and learning how to ask questions that's going to yield the results that we want without telling someone, well, this is why you need it, and this is why you should get it, and this is what happens if you don't. We're going to let Miss Betty sell herself. And that's one of the ways you keep the business on the books as well, by people hearing themselves go, well, I need to do this because, or this would make sense for me to get this because. These are the things you want to hear your prospects say. As you do, you become really powerful at what you do. And it's really amazing. There's no selling, there's no pushing, there's no forcing, there's no assuming too much. So, ladies and gentlemen, there we go. That's tonight. We've covered a lot of ground tonight. We've rehashed and we've come back and looked at some things we've done in the past. I want to encourage you to take these first few steps and start implementing them now. Start understanding your market, number one. Number two, start learning to connect, not just build rapport, warm up, but connect. Number three, write your personal credibility statement. And then we're going to get into peeling the onion and the need development section more deeply. More deeply, that might be correct. Not more deeper, but more deeply. I'm not an English major. That sounds right. In about 2 weeks from now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, any questions that you want to ask before I jump out of here tonight? Anything you want to put on the chat line? Good, bad, or indifferent? Well, not bad. Good or indifferent. Share those with me on the chat line. If I don't see anything, we mosey on out tonight. Thanks for attending. Until we meet again next week. Same time, not next week, 2 weeks, same time, same bat station, same bat time. Good luck out there and good selling.
Great job, Gary.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, Lester. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of the week. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate you.
Great job, Gary.
Thanks, Jan. Have a good night.
Always love listening to the doctor.
Appreciate it. I'll send my bill in the mail.
Okay, bye.
See you. Bye.
Yes.